Troy and Janelle, for you all with small kids, how do you balance life? How do you go to work every day, go to the grocery store, bring it home, cook, help the kids with their homework, and then, our lovely husbands want time with us. So how do you balance all that?
Well, we purposely have date nights. We have date nights, at least I would say once a month. So we purposely make sure we have that time with one another. But for me, a balance for me is what our children see in us. And Troy is a trip. So I'm laughing every day. And I think that's really healthy for our children to see. I'm very honest and open with my children. That's why I was raised to be bluntly honest. I will say this. I learned that I can't be too bluntly honest because my son asked us the other day, is P-U-S-S-Y a bad word? And I was like, I just bust out laughing. I didn't know what to say.
I bet Troy knew what to say.
Right, and I'm going to let him say what he said. But to answer the question, we just continually, purposely have the date night experiences, and we try to treat it as if we're still dating one another.
Okay.
So what happened was this. So my son, right? So we got two young kids, 8 and 9. Our son is 9, our daughter is 8. And I'm thinking about the fact that y'all talking about, don't kick them out the house, right? I'm thinking, dang, they can't even go outside of their house. I mean, like, where you going? You on the porch? Come back in the house. That's 10 years from now. They'll be, 2036, they'll be 18, 19 years old. And I'm just now probably going to let them go outside. I mean, the way things is now, but my son came downstairs and said, Daddy, and he said it like his daddy, is coochie a bad word, what he said. He said P word, he said P. And I said, well, it depends on, ask your mama. I said, ask your mama right quick and see what she say. And we both just looked at each other and started laughing, right? But I didn't know if he said P with a multiple or P with one. So I said, how many you talking about? That's what I asked him. So he said, I said, well, look, first of all, dog, look, I said, have you heard me say it? He said, no. I said, well, if you ain't heard me say it, that's why I tell him about cussing. If you don't hear me cuss or say something, it probably ain't good to say. And then he ran back upstairs. But then he always asked this, though, why does bad words don't sound bad? How you know it ain't bad or not? That's just like when the couple up here earlier, I ain't gonna lie, when they say only argued twice in 50-something years, I'm like, what's the definition of arguing then? Because I need to make sure what y'all talking about. And then also, I'm sorry, let me go on back up on the couple that was up here earlier. So I had a lot I learned tonight, right? Because, we ain't heard nothing new under the sun, but I love to take something away with it. And when the one lady mentioned about, I'm sorry to say, when the other couple mentioned about, what she said now, is when she said that, I got to walk away. See, think about my wife, she come back with something 2 years later. And I don't need you walking away to come back and say, you remember that time on October 13th at 4 o'clock on the Thursday, it was raining? No, I don't need all that. I need to handle this today so we can get it done so you don't come back later on and say, like my man said, believe me, I'm going to mess up again if you don't tell me what it was. I'm going to mess up for sure. What was the question? I'm sorry. I forgot myself. I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell y'all something. You know what? This is a good preaching moment. Let me say this right here. Look, man. Look. Laughter is a good thing. Laughter brings a lot of joy to the bones, man, because I'm not trying to make nobody laugh. I'm not trying to be no comedian, nothing like that. People say that. I'm just trying to have a good time. Life in itself is a nightmare on its own. I don't need you to make it scary for me. I don't like watching scary movies. I don't need none of that. I could be scared on my own. You ain't got to tell me nothing. I'm just scared on my own. So you don't have to tell me nothing. But what was the question?
I'm going to throw this in here real quick.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.